Today, I'm going to show you how you can make a customized gather conditioning workflow in only 10 minutes with the interactive and user-friendly GatherView. The list of tools we currently have include FK filtering, FX decon, residual move-out correction, slowness, mute, automatic gain control, X balancing or offset balancing, row filtering, time variant row filtering, time variant frequency filtering, AVO attribute computation, and 2 output modules, gathers with segue out or stack. GatherView is both time and depth compatible, as long as the data has been migrated. The example in this video will be a time migrated volume. The workflow I will demonstrate in this video is the mute function, a few noise reduction techniques, residual move out, and AVO attribute analysis. Once started, you will see 3 windows of data and the GatherView module builder. On the far left are the input gathers. It's obvious that there are noise and move-out issues associated with these gathers, which is what we will correct today. In the middle is a window partitioned into 2 sections, the before GatherView QC stack and the after GatherView conditioning QC stack, which is currently blank. You will see in a minute why this is a very powerful tool, as you can easily compare the input stack versus the condition stack to see if you are gaining or losing your target events. On the far right is the currently selected gather that is the focus for the GatherView conditioning. By applying gather conditioning on a single gather first, you can make as many changes as you like before applying the changes to the full volume. I can select a gather one of 2 ways. I can navigate through the input by scrolling through the volume. The red box denotes my selected gather that will update the gather in focus for conditioning. I can also click anywhere on the QC stack to bring a new gather in focus. The red line on the stack denotes the chosen gather currently in focus. This allows you to quickly target a troublesome area, whether you know the exact location of the CDP or if you have an idea, as in our case. Once I've selected my gather of interest, I can create my customized GatherView workflow by simply dragging and dropping the module from the list to the workflow builder. To begin, I drag and drop mute to the workflow builder and start clicking my mute points on the gather. To see the QC stack after muting, I click the Execute QC Stack button. The QC stack after muting is instantly displayed on the screen. To change my mute, I can re-drag and drop the points. I even made a mistake with my mute, but watch as I quickly correct it. To delete points, I right-click the focus gather and select Delete. The first noise reduction technique I'll use is FX deconvolution. I drag and drop it from the module list and parameterize it by selecting my window size in both time and offset space. I can also control the operator length over which to compute the deconvolution. I'll first run the execute stack with the default parameters. The defaults of the window size and operator are attenuating the signal in the shallow section, so I'm going to change the time design window to 200 and the trace design window to 10. I'll execute the QC stack to see what it looks like applied to the whole volume. Notice the difference made in the shallow section. Now I just went through 2 iterations of FX decon in a little under a minute. Next I'll be applying an FK filter. I can choose to move any module up or down relative to the other modules in the workflow at any point, so that I may quickly and easily have more control over how the conditioning is applied. To change the fan filter, I can change the minimum and maximum sliders, which represent, respectively, the negative and positive slopes in the frequency wave number space. If you're having difficulties with alias dips, this would be the perfect tool. However, this dataset doesn't display much aliasing from dipping events, and I've decided to no longer use an FK filter. I can remove the module by right-clicking the FK filter module and selecting Delete. Now that I've mitigated the noise, I want to better flatten my gathers. From observing the original time-migrated gathers, the velocities applied did not completely flatten most events. This is trivially easy for the RMO module to correct. Using only the defaults, I can significantly flatten my gathers without any additional velocity analysis. The window size is the number of samples over which to perform the RMO correction. The mute % pilot is the percentage of offsets, starting with the first offset, to be stacked in order to create the pilot trace that is used for the cross-correlation algorithm. A mute percent pilot of 50 means it will take 50% of my largest offset, in my case 3750, to create the pilot trace. So if I'm having difficulties with my far offsets, I can exclude that from the computation. By going back and forth between the modules, I can get a better sense of what is being applied at each conditioning tool. The last filter I will attempt is the row bandwidth frequency boost that applies a filter in the form of f to the row power. Negative row values will boost the low frequencies, while positive values will boost the highs. I'm going to apply a mild row value of 0.16. So my gathers are relatively noise-free and flattened. I'm ready for my AVO attribute analysis. I set my interval velocity control points to the relevant velocities for more control of the near and far angles. The AVO attribute I want to focus on is intercept times gradient. I'm going to change the display colors to blue to red to match the conventional display for viewing anomalies, and click Execute. Watch as the anomalies are highlighted in real time. Let's zoom in to get a better view. To see the difference, I'm going to unenable my FXDcon RMO and row filters. By applying gather conditioning first, my bright spots are brighter. I'm satisfied with my workflow and want to output my data. By dragging and dropping segue out on the workflow builder, I can output as many gather volumes as needed. I can even output gathers at every conditioning step, as long as I'm careful to name each gather output. To generate a stack, drag the stack module and a segue out immediately after it. Likewise for gathers, I can repeat the stack output as many times as I want. In less than 10 minutes, I applied 2 mute functions, several noise reduction techniques, applied a velocity-independent residual move-out correction, conducted AVO attribute analysis, and outputted data. And that was only using 5 of the 15 available modules. GatherView is incredibly convenient to create a customized conditioning workflow, and the module combinations are endless. No other tool on the market is this fast, straightforward, and perfectly tailored to your conditioning needs. It takes little effort to be up and running. For more information on how to create your own GatherView workflow, contact Tsunami today.